Yeah,
well,
I think it's a place where people love Duran Duran and love the music, and people get very excited about the show when we play. We wanted to start with a bang, and it's a great place to do that because you're such good, lovely people.
And it's the first country in the world that really embraced the band.
Yeah.
As a whole, we're kind of big in Japan before anywhere else in the world, so we wanted to kind of come back to our roots in a way and start here.
It's become a tradition for us over the years to always tour Japan when we do a world tour, and so this time it's so exciting to be opening here because the last date we played as this original 5-piece lineup together was actually at Live Aid in Philadelphia in 1985.
And somebody said to me that Duran Duran has a dark side that Japanese people can really identify with, and I think we've always kind of had that connection. As well as the pop and the lively and the uplifting, there's a kind of dark, sort of scary side as well.
John and I have known each other since well, we were about 10.
Yeah.
And we didn't actually go to school together, but we lived round the corner from each other in Hollywood in Birmingham. And well, that's really all we wanted to do, was be in a band. We were music lovers, and John was in a couple of bands, punk bands, before Duran Duran. And then when I finished school and he finished art college, we formed the band. And it took a while to find
then
these
Roger
guys.
was the next person we met. He was also playing in punk bands in Birmingham. And the three of us played with other guys for a while, and then we advertised we advertised for a singer and a guitar player. And when the guitar players would audition, we'd say, yeah, the singer's sick today. And when we'd audition singers, we'd say, yeah, the guitar player's sick. Which is true, because he is. But Andy came down from Newcastle, right?
I entered an advert in the Melody Maker, a magazine, for a guitarist, and it said, what were the influences? Mick Ronson. Roxy. What was the Mick Ronson one?
Wasn't Queen in there as well?
Maybe.
Might have been.
Could have been.
And I went to Birmingham and just stayed. In fact, they had this great setup. I got there, they rehearsed in a nightclub, and the two managers owned a nightclub. And I thought, well, you know, this has got to be... and that's where everything sort of came out from that scene, but I just got the train down to Birmingham from Newcastle and stayed. I
got an ex-girlfriend of mine, who I thought had gone back to London, gave me a call and said that she wanted to meet up with me, and I met up with her, and she said, and I thought we were going to get back together, but we weren't. She was there to tell me about this band. She'd taken a job in a nightclub, and had met these guys and said that they're looking for a singer. I really think you could do it, Simon. I thought, yeah, right. I went along to an audition and met them. I took my book of words with me, and it just clicked very quickly. I mean, the second time we met, we played music together.
That post-punk era where, you know, we'd all, I think, maybe excepting Andy, I think we'd all gotten into playing music because of the Sex Pistols and the Clash and the whole excitement around that era. Yeah. But it was moving into more interesting territory, and you had bands like Japan and
Technology,
Joy Division, and they were starting to
Magazine,
do Kraftwerk we liked
Ultravox
as well, the whole electronic scene, Ultravox.
But on the back of that, there's also the whole disco scene was happening with chic and jazz funk and all that stuff. So that kind of got into the music as well, somewhere along the line.
It was a very exciting time growing up in the 70s for music, because the other thing that influenced all of us was glam rock, which was David Bowie and Roxy Music and Cockney Rebel and Sparks, and these were the bands we grew up with, and then that sort of merged into punk rock, and then we came after that.
Well, it was part of the kind of the mythology that became the new romantic scene. And the other thing was that it was really like we wanted to grab onto something that was moving, and it was like a train, and we thought, let's just grab onto this one, it's the right time, we need something. So we identified ourselves with it, and we associated ourselves with it. And it really helped the media and people understand what we were all about, even if it wasn't really an exact kind of box to put us into. It was just something that helped us move on. There were probably less than 20 promotional films to go with music in existence at that time, so it's completely open.
Well, we were open as well, because whereas we'd all had fantasies as kids of like, well, my record's going to look like this, and when my band plays a gig, it's going to be like this, and our records are going to sound like this, but none of us actually thought, and our videos are going to be like that, which is what kids today are thinking. Now kids are thinking, I want my video to be like that. So we were kind of open to, You know, and there was a lot of new ideas going on in the medium at the time. There was a lot of talent in London that we were able to tap into, and they seemed to like us because we were, you could do a lot with us.
Well, I don't think that any of us at the time realised the massive effect it would have on you. 20 years later.
Of course.
Yeah. Now it's just like taken as a given. But then, when it was very young and sort of embryonic, you didn't really have the concept of how powerful these things could be for you, for your image. And it's kind of like they live on. I mean, teenage boys still want to see the unedited Girls on Film video.
Yeah, but I mean, to put something in perspective about what Andy just said, when we made our first videos, Planet Earth and Hungry Like the Wolf, we expected that they would maybe get shown once on Top of the Pops in England, if we were lucky, maybe once on a Japanese channel, once in Australia, and that was it. Then the single would be gone. Yeah, I mean, just over with, and you move on to the next one. We didn't know that anyone would ever go back and say, wait a minute, what about that one?
It would just end up being a nice piece of archive footage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, MTV was like a little shack somewhere with a couple of people in,
Well, it actually didn't exist when we made our first video.
No.
MTV didn't exist until after Planet Earth. Yeah.
But at the same time, we were all totally hooked on the medium, and I don't think anybody really wanted to take a holiday. We just needed to take a break, so we all took like busman's holidays, and we started up projects, to give ourselves a break, but at the same time, stay in the creative process.
Well, I mean, Simon and I had been working for a while with Warren Cucurullo and a couple of other people, but we had sort of realised it was coming to a natural end, and that really, it wasn't Duran Duran anymore without the Taylors.
And people have been saying for years and years and years, when are you going to reform? When are you going to get back together? Because that's what we really want.
And so Simon and I were in Los Angeles, and John had invited us over to his house there to have a chat, and said, "What, are we going to do this or not, guys?" And we were all pretty keen and all got on. He said, "Well, I've been speaking to Roger and Andy," and it all started to fall together, and we decided to meet up in London and get round a table and stare at each other and see if we thought we could make it work.
And I think we actually ended up having a laugh getting together, and we went out for dinner, and it was fun.
Well, the great thing was we'd never ever fallen out. We'd all kind of remained friends over the years. There's no bad feeling.
It's funny because to us, I think to all of us, it's not like we're moving backwards. It's part of a forward movement. I mean, we've all been growing. It's not like we were all, stuck in the 80s. We're all alive to the music today, and we all want to be relevant. And to get back together and work again, it's not like we're trying to relive something out of the past. It's just we all feel that, for me, I feel these guys are the best guys that I can move forward into the future with. I think we all feel like that.
Because we're playing new material, which is sort of where you start. When you first start, you don't make a record, you do gigs. And you play all this material to people, and they tell you. And so now we get the chance to kind of do that again and get the audience reaction from it. But it fits in very, very cool with the old stuff. So I think what Nick said, it's just very Duran Duran.